So navigation has historically been tricky in .NET desktop applications. I've had trouble with it, and I know all of you have had trouble with it too, because some of the top videos on this channel have been about navigation in WPF applications. So you have an app with multiple pages, you just want to switch pages. You want to be able to click a button and go to the next page in your application. It's such a simple concept, but for some reason, again, historically, it's been tricky. However, in .NET MAUI, the framework handles most of the navigation concerns for us and makes it much more pleasant to work with. They also provide much more, such as different shell types, like you can have a tab layout by default. But let's forget about all that for now. Let's focus on navigation, the fundamentals. This is where it all begins. So I have a demo app set up here, but I have some pages in here. So we have a join page, and after you join, I want to show this profile page represented by the index view, and then we'll have another button on the profile page to view some more profile details, specifically the address. So I would demo this, but again, navigation is such a fundamental concept. There's not really much to show in this app until we have navigation. So navigation in .NET MAUI, it all begins in the AppShell. So if you're familiar with any web development, the AppShell is kind of like a router. So you have string keys that map to pages. So you might have a join route that maps to our join page. So inside the shell, let's open this up. We can have shell content, and we're going to define a route. We'll give this a key of join. And whenever we're on the join route, we want to display via a content template the join page. So that's represented by a data template, and we want to point to our join view, actually, is what it's called. And that's something that I import from this navigation.pages namespace up here, which is this join view right over here. And by default, this first shell content within the shell is the page that's going to be displayed when our application boots. And there we go, got the join view. And in the future, we'll be able to click the submit button and go to the next page. So let's define the next page. So we're going to let's just copy this. And our next page is going to be that profile page. So I have that in another namespace called profile pages, and that's our index view over there. And we'll define this route as profile. And then let's throw in the other route while we're here. So this is also going to be a profile page, and this is going to be the address view. And we'll give this a route, a profile address actually. So I did mention that the first route in your shell, or the first entry in your shell, is the route you start on. But what if I had this at the bottom? How would I go to the join page when our application starts? Well, we can actually configure that in our app.xaml.cs. So we can override on start. And when our application is starting up, we're just going to navigate to the page that we want to start on. So here we go. We're going to do our first navigation. So navigation's async, so let's await this. We're going to take the shell, and we want to grab the current shell, and we want to go to async, and then just pass in the key for our route. So we want to pass in join. So that's the key for this join page. However, this is considered a relative route. So we want this to be an absolute route by specifying 2 slashes in front. And we'll get more into absolute versus relative routing in a bit, but basically absolute routing. So this is the full route. It's just join starting from the top of our route hierarchy. And that's what we have laid out here. So we just have this join route at the root of our shell. So let's boot this up. We should go to the join page when our application starts. There we go, all good. And actually, I didn't even show what it was without this, with our route at the bottom of the shell, but we should show up on the profile page. And there we go, we have this empty profile. So again, let's start on the join page. Awesome. So instead of navigating on startup, next up, let's navigate whenever we submit our join form. So let's head over to the join view model. So this binds to the join view, and we have this submit command that executes when we click the submit button. And hey, I'm using the MVVM toolkit here. Everyone brings up the community toolkit. I tried it out. I love it. All right. So whenever we click submit and execute this submit command, we want to, again, just like before, we're going to take our shell. We're going to go to async. And this time we want to go to the profile page. So that's the profile route. Let's pass that in. Pretty straightforward. And while we're here, let's add another let's actually implement this view address command. So let's grab shell current, go to async, paste that in, and this route is called profile address. So let's submit the form, and we're gonna go to the profile page. Sweet. Let's click this address button, and we're gonna go to the profile address page, and there we go. That's just an empty page for now. We don't have any data on here. Awesome. This is already a huge difference over WPF, where we barely even written any code and we're already navigating. This is just going splendid. But as we saw, our profile page was empty. Our address page was also empty. So how can we pass data? Or in other words, I want to pass this profile that we create on the join view model and all of this profile data over to our profile page. That's going to be difficult, right? That was always difficult in WPF MVVM applications. How's it going to be in MAUI? Well, it's going to be very, very easy. So this go to async method actually has another override where we can pass in parameters. Look at that, a dictionary of parameters. So let's spin up a dictionary. This is a string of, I don't even know, is it string of object? It is a string of object. So we'll just call this parameters and initialize this dictionary. So let's go over to the profile view model and figure out what this view model needs. So we're going to want to pass some kind of isNew flag from the join view model to this index view model, the profile view model. And we also want to pass over the created profile. So let's work some magic to accomplish that. So we're going to have a new parameter. So that's going to be the key for our parameter, and the value is going to be true. And then we're also going to have a profile parameter, which is going to be a new profile. So I have a profile entity. It's actually a record, and we can pass in the name property on this view model and the address property. And now we can pass these parameters when we navigate. So now all of this data is going to get passed to our index view model, but it's not quite magic. So it's not going to automatically populate these properties. We need to tell the view model how to map the properties or the parameters that we pass to the view model to properties. So we can do that with decorators, or attributes I should say, at the top of our view model. So these are query properties. We want to map to this isNew property. So isNew. And the query parameter that we want to map is the new parameter. So this new string comes from how we identified our new parameter. And then same thing for the profile parameter. So let's copy this. So we name this parameter key profile, as we can see here. And we want to map that to this profile property. So profile. And if you're wondering, oh, profile property, what are you talking about? This is a field. Again, that's actually something that gets generated in the background by this observable property attribute. So as we can see here, it will generate the corresponding property from the field. Cool, so let's test this out. We are passing query parameters to our profile page. Let's see it. It's going to be beautiful. Let's submit. Here we go. We're passing all of our properties in this dictionary. Let's continue. And then let me click this just to hit a breakpoint. And we'll be able to see all of these properties fulfilled. So our isNew property, true. That is the parameter that we passed. Nice. Our profile property is our profile. Awesome. Passing data. It's that easy. So much easier. I love it. So this was pretty advanced parameter passing. We actually spun up a dictionary and defined objects in here. But if you're not passing objects or anything advanced as your query parameters to the next page, then you don't even have to spin up a dictionary. So for example, let's say we want to pass the profile address to our profile address page, and that profile address is just a string. Then we don't need a whole dictionary. We can do some string interpolation here, add a question mark here, and after this question mark, we can define all of our query parameters. So these are basic, these are just string parameters. So I want to set the address query parameter to my profile address. And since the profile address is just a string, this is easy for MAUI to handle. It can handle it. If we wanted to pass an object here using this method, it would not work. I don't even think Booleans work. I had tried Booleans and I couldn't get that working. Can't forget if it worked for numbers or not. But I know it works for strings. And anything more advanced, you probably want to use the dictionary approach for passing parameters. But let's test this out. So let's go over to our address view model, and we want to add a query parameter. I already added it, I guess, when I was prepping the video or testing something out. But let's put a breakpoint here, and we should pass our address parameter. Let's try it. So let's go to the address page. We're going to pass our address as the address parameter. Continue. And there we go. Our address pops up on the page. That's good. That means our data made it to the profile page. And we can see it on this breakpoint. There we go. We got the address. So just two different ways for passing parameters. Is one better than the other? I mean, I kind of like the dictionary approach. I feel like it's more explicit. Obviously, there's support for objects and more advanced values if you take this approach. But for something quick and easy, nothing wrong with just passing it in via our navigation string. Just understand that this approach is limited and it's only going to work with primitives, possibly only strings from what I've seen so far. So these are the fundamentals. We're navigating, we're passing data. What more could you possibly want? You can actually get a lot done with just what we've learned so far. But let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's try and experiment and do some more cool things. So suppose when we're on the profile page, we view our address and we want to go back to our profile. Now we haven't implemented this back button yet, but let's do it. So let's go to the address view model and let's take our shell current and go to async, and we want to go back to the profile page. And before even testing this out, you can probably already see the issue. So we're going to the profile page, but we don't have all of these query properties required by the profile page. The address view model doesn't receive that data, so it can't pass it back to the profile page. Now there are ways to work around this, but let's just work within our constraints right now. So let's not do this. Let's take another approach. Let's take shell current navigation and let's pop async. So let's pop this address page off of our navigation stack and take us back to the profile page. And who knows, with this approach, perhaps the profile page will maintain all of its state. So here we go. We go to the address page. We go back. We're going to pop off of the navigation stack. Can we even see the navigation stack? We can not actually. All right. Let's continue. And we don't end up back on the index or the profile page. And that's because we're doing absolute navigation over to the profile address page. So it doesn't really have the stack in its head whenever we're doing this absolute navigation. Or in other words, if we do absolute navigation, it's going to wipe the navigation stack completely. However, if we use relative routing instead, then it's going to maintain the navigation stack. And this is where route hierarchies can come into play and help us in this situation. So in other words, I want a route hierarchy on these profile pages where /profile shows the profile page and /profile/address shows our address page. And with the address page being under the profile page in the route hierarchy, we can use relative routing on the profile page and just go to the address route with no slashes in front. And since we're using relative routing, that's not going to clear the navigation stack, and we should be able to pop back to our profile page. So that all makes sense, hopefully. We're going to see it in action, but what we didn't go over is how do we implement a route hierarchy? How do we define the address page in the hierarchy underneath of our profile page? Well, you guessed it. That's all going to be configured somewhere in the AppShell. Who knows? Maybe we can just change this route to profile/address. Wouldn't that be great? Let's try it. And that's not going to work. We get an exception, and I don't even think we're handling exceptions in our commands. So it actually crashes our application. So that's not ideal. We don't want to do that. And in fact, the only way as of now to implement some kind of route underneath of our hierarchy is with code in the appshell.xaml.cs. So in this constructor, we can take routing and we want to register a route in our app shell. And in here, we can define a route that represents a hierarchy. So we want to have a profile/address route. And that route is going to represent our address view. So quite similar to the XAML that we had, where we define a route and our view. The only difference is that we're doing it in code behind so that we can leverage hierarchical, however you say it, hierarchy routing. We'll go with that. There we go. But maybe in the future, we'll be able to just do this inside of our app shell. I don't really like the idea of having routes defined in our XAML and also in our CS. Maybe it'd be better to choose one or the other. Maybe I would want to move these over to our appshell.xaml.cs too. But ideally in the future, something like this would just be supported in the XAML. We'll see. Anyways, we now have our route hierarchy set up. Let's plop down some breakpoints and let's route. Let's navigate, I should say. All right, let's go to the address page. Here we go, relative routing. Boom, we're there. And again, relative routing doesn't reset the navigation stack. So since we didn't reset the navigation stack, or we're using a navigation stack now, MAUI automatically puts this convenient back button at the top. There's probably a way to disable that if you don't want it, but hey, I like it. And we can also click this back button that we implemented. I want to put a breakpoint there, or we see that's popping off of the navigation stack. Let's put a breakpoint, why not? So back, there we go, pop off the navigation stack, and we are back on our profile page. So relative routing, essential if you want to leverage the built-in navigation stack. All right, so .NET MAUI navigation, so much easier than what we had in WPF MVVM applications. I know a lot of people might be like, well, you should have used a MVVM framework in WPF. We were always telling you to, and yes, that is correct. Lots of people told me to use a framework in WPF. Maybe I should have, looking back, because I'm sure there's something out here in the WPF universe that is similar to what we have in MAUI. I would hope so. Maybe not. Who knows? But I was always that guy using vanilla WPF MVVM. I guess it's different now because all of this navigation infrastructure is part of MAUI, whereas with WPF you had to use some other third-party framework. But anyways, that's enough of that rant. So MAUI navigation, pretty solid from what I've played with so far, and I feel like this is the ideal .NET MAUI MVVM experience. So we have the built-in MAUI navigation that's pretty easy to use, pretty powerful, and then you pair that with the MVVM toolkit. I really like it. Let's build some things. Let's do it. So in summary, we now have the power to navigate between pages in a .NET MAUI application. We can do basic routing with GoToAsync. We can pass parameters via a dictionary, where we can pass in more advanced objects rather than primitives. We can also pass parameters without using a dictionary, if we just need to pass primitives such as strings. We can define a route hierarchy and leverage relative routing, which finally allows us to leverage the navigation stack, and we can pop off of the navigation stack to go back to the previous page. So hopefully you can apply these concepts in your own .NET MAUI application to easily navigate between pages.